You're listening to Sovereignty Rising with me, Dawn, your contrarian soul guide, spiritual CEO, and the one who's not afraid to call you back to your own power. You ever feel like you're slowing down? Like healing is taking too long? Like you should be further along by now? I want to offer a truth that might shake your nervous system awake. You're not slowing down. You're simply carrying too much. You're not stuck because you're lazy. You're not blocked because you're broken. You're heavy because you've been dragging around energetic baggage that was never meant to go with you. Old identities, other people's expectations, past trauma, future worries, unprocessed grief, and every should that you kept confusing with truth. So today, we're breaking down principle 3 of co-creation: time, space, and density, and the speed of healing. Because what if you're not behind? You're just buried. Welcome to Sovereignty Rising. Ditch the fear, embrace your flame. I'm Dawn Elgin, contrarian soul guide, visionary mystic, and creatrix of practical spiritualism. And this is the space where we strip away the fear, burn the old stories down, and reclaim the power that was never truly lost, just buried. Here, we dive into raw, unfiltered conversations on emotional healing, spiritual awakening, and the art of unlearning everything that keeps you stuck, small, and disconnected from your truth. Together, we rise like phoenixes, flame first, fear last. Let's rise together. Healing isn't linear. It's quantum. Let's talk time. You've been lied to. Healing isn't this linear ladder that you climb where every step makes logical sense and builds predictably. Nope. Healing is quantum. It's energetic. It doesn't move in straight lines. It moves in spirals, ruptures, breakthroughs, and the occasional breakdown in the grocery store aisle moments. Just because it doesn't look productive doesn't mean it's not profound. Just because it's quiet doesn't mean it's not working. Just because you're not there yet doesn't mean you're off the path. But here's the catch. You cannot move with the field if you're dragging a U-Haul of old energy behind you. Co-creation requires space, and most of us are energetically cluttered as hell. Now, density is the real slowdown. So let's get real. It's not time that's holding you back. It's density. Your nervous system is overcapacitated. Your field is congested with beliefs, trauma, judgments, comparison, shame, and guilt. You've got so much stuck energy in your body, you can't hear your soul clearly. Ever tried running through water? That's what it feels like trying to co-create while carrying that weight. And then we judge ourselves for being slow. We say, I should be over this by now. Or even worse, somebody else says it. Or we say, I should have known better. Or I should be doing more. There's that word again, should. The moment should shows up, you know your inner authority just left the room. Density is spiritual static. It muffles clarity, distorts truth, and slows manifestation. Want to create faster? Clear the weight. Lighten the frequency. Release what's not yours to carry. When this principle came to me, it was, I say it for all of them. They're my favorites. But this particular principle, it rocked my socks. And the reason is because weight equals weight. In other words, WEIGHT equals weight, WAIT. So when we take a look at this, the weight of the baggage that you carry directly impacts the weight of our healing, of change, of expansion. So think of it as you're going through a room. And it takes a lot longer to go from one side of the room to the other, carrying a pack that's got 100 pounds of baggage in it, versus dropping the bag and just going across the room. And that's the problem. Most of us are dealing with what we're carrying, and we don't realize all we have to do is put it down. The other thing that's important to recognize is what's in that bag. So it's not just our own stuff, our own, beliefs, our thoughts, our past experiences, our own emotions that we resisted or clung to. It's not just all of our own trauma. It is our own, it's ancestral. So what happened in the lineages of our family. It is epigenetic. It is also cultural. So, what are we taking in from our culture, our gender, our race, the land in which we live on, and the history of it? All of these things make up our baggage. And if we carry it, which is not natural, might be normal, but it's not natural. And when we carry it, it slows us down. When I started on this part of my journey, I had one question that I was asking, and that is, why do some people spontaneously heal and other people don't? The first two books that I'd been given that kind of pushed this open for me was Joe Dispenza's book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, and then Bruce Lipton's book, The Biology of Belief. And those two books really made me start looking at things differently. At the time, I was doing my coaching training. I was on my own personal healing journey and trying to understand why I kept repeating the same patterns. What was it that was happening that I couldn't seem to break through to the other side? I was caught in the loop of being a victim of my childhood, although I would have called it a survivor, which is just a fighting victim, the victim of my first husband and even of my second, a victim of circumstances of my life. When these spiritual principles of co-creation came to me, I was blown away on this one because it was like it explained so much of my life. It explained why I was struggling because I was identifying with my past. I was identifying these are my experiences and they make me who I am. So if I believe that, then can I possibly let it go? Because then who would I be? Who would I be if I'm not a survivor? And that one question really threw me for a loop for a long time. And it was one thing for this to all be not shifting as fast as I expected it to when I was doing my personal development. Once I started moving and shifting into the spiritual development world, I'm not going to lie, I had an expectation. Trust me, we'll get to that in principle number 5. An expectation of how fast I was going to heal. I really believed that I was going to miraculously just wake up and my brain injury was going to be gone. And I didn't understand all the components that went with it. It got to a point where in my own journey, everything felt like molasses. I had vision, I had the tools, I was doing the work, and still nothing was moving, or at least not fast enough. And what did I do? What so many of us do. I turned on myself. Maybe I'm not really intuitive. Maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I'll never feel light again. But what I didn't realize at the time, I wasn't broken. I was buried. I was dragging expectations from childhood, conditioning from religion, stories from old partners, the pressure of performance, the grief I didn't want to touch. And the second I started releasing, really releasing, life began to move. Not because I pushed harder, it didn't require hustle, but because I finally created space. So let's pause right here and just take a moment and create some space for ourselves. Go ahead and make yourself comfortable. I know many of you drive while you're listening to the podcast, so I'm not going to ask you to close your eyes, but if you're in a safe zone, then you definitely can. What I'd like you to do, no matter where you are, is just start dropping your breath. Start dropping deeper and deeper. Let your waistline expand. Let your pelvis start to fill. And start to slowly exhale down. Inhaling through the nose for 3 to 4 counts. And exhaling through your nose or your mouth for about 4 to 8 counts. So just start to lengthen it out. And on your next inhale, breathe all the way down into your pelvic bowl. And as you exhale, let yourself drop down into the earth. And just feel the weight of what you've been carrying. Name it in your mind. I've been holding on to that story, that person, that identity, that guilt, that pressure to be on. And then inhale from the core of your earth all the way up into your heart. And as you exhale, release. Now again, this time into your womb, breathe in. And as you exhale through the crown of your head, and let that release be a surrender. Visualize the process of letting go, the excess falling off you like cracked armor, dead weight you never agreed to carry. Feel yourself becoming lighter with every breath, every exhale, because you cannot create your destiny if you're dragging the past like a body bag with you. So let's talk about the speed of healing. Here's the reframe. It's not about how fast you heal. It's about how willing you are to be with what's real. Healing accelerates not when you push, but when you surrender. Not when you know more, but when you release what you thought you had to be. Think about it like this. If time's a river, density is the dam. Your frequency wants to flow and your destiny wants to unfold, but you have to get out of the way. Let's take a quick moment for a word from our sponsor. This episode is sponsored by, me, your soul guide, your mirror, your interrupter of patterns. If you're ready to drop the weight, to stop dragging your fear and start moving in alignment, then I invite you into Soul Alchemy, my private container for deep, high-level transformation. We don't just talk about healing. We live it. We integrate it, and we alchemize it. Aligned Living is our other program, the practical spiritual community for everyday expansion. Because healing doesn't happen in isolation. It happens in integration. Details are below in the show notes. Book a no-pressure sovereignty session if your soul is whispering yes. Now, back to the transmission. Here's what I want you to visualize. So when we are doing yin or we're doing breathwork or meditation, we'll start to stack the spine. So we want to kind of lengthen the spine from tail to crown. We kind of roll the shoulders back. We tuck the chin towards our throat, lift the back of the skull, and we stack ears, shoulders, and hips. And so we're creating this beautiful tall channel. If you're thinking of it from energy, think of us stacking those 7 main chakras of our bodies. And so we have this beautiful energy that is designed to come into us. It's inspiration. It's divine power, divine light. And it cracks through, comes right through the center of our head and flows all the way through us. This is the energy that we are in flow with when we get into flow state, whether that is running or doing a task or something that you just love, and time almost seems to stand still. It's like you have no concept of anything else around you because you're just in this pure creative moment. Whatever it is, it gives you energy instead of taking it. You don't feel tired. You feel energized. Well, that energy, we have access to that every single moment of the day. It's the density that blocks it. We're meant to invest this energy in creative projects, in creation of ourselves, of relationships, of each other, of abundance, health, healing, etc. Now, picture this energy is flowing in through the crown of your head, and then it's flowing out behind you. And say 50% of what's coming in is flowing out. That's what it's like to invest your energy in the past. That's what it's like when we get stuck in old traumas and dramas, whether these are beliefs or relationships, old hurts, those traumas and dramas. All that energy coming in isn't going out into the creative process of the moment because we're losing a ton of it behind us. And it's this investment of our energy in the past that is the creation of time. So let me explain. If I am creating with 100% of my energy, I am creating in present time. Everything is just happening. And it is a beautiful, synergistic experience. But if I'm creating with only 90% of my energy, then things are going to take a little bit longer. Instead of getting something done immediately, suddenly I need to go and make myself a cup of tea before I settle in. Just a little bit longer. We delay or sabotage ourselves just a little bit more. If I'm creating with only 50% of my energy, it might take me a really long time to create a project that I desire to create, such as writing. Suddenly, I'm making all sorts of excuses why I can't do it. I'm never finding the time to sit down and write. And why? Because I've invested all of that energy into the past, into what other people have said to me, into my beliefs about my capabilities. So 50% of my life force is going into those old beliefs, into those old emotions, into those thoughts, those dramas, and those traumas. Hence the creation of time. And time only exists here. We create it by holding on to the past. Now, don't get me wrong, there's two types of time. There's clock time, which makes sure that we're on time for appointments and all the rest. And then there's linear time. And linear time is all about ego and psyche. It's all about what has happened in the past and what could possibly happen in the future. And anxiety is an example of this. It's linked to the unknown future. And it's not meant to be bad, it's meant to be a warning. It's meant to give us the heads up that our energy is going somewhere other than being right now. See, our soul, our spirit, is an entity only of present time. It can only exist in the eternal now. Our ego, our psyche, is an entity of timeline. And so it only really exists in the past or in the future because this home isn't designed for two of them. It's designed for us to be present. That's what we're designed for. Yourself, your soul knows, deeply understands that it's a problem for your energy to be leaking out. And so it gives you a warning that there's a problem, hence the experience of anxiety. And our chakra system, our energy vortexes, give us some information about this. Why do most of us, if not all of us, experience anxiety in our upper abdomen, which is where our third energy center is, which is linked to our willpower? I will. It is the who am I and who am I not? And that's the power question that we can ask. What's going on here? Where am I? So when we get a feeling of anxiety, of anxiousness, it is a warning that we don't feel the ability to hold our own power. We're not holding our own power. It's going somewhere else. And we're struggling to hold the picture of ourselves against that unknown future. Think of if you are always in present time, your soul, your spirit, and all of a sudden there's this separating. You're here in present time, but your ego or your psyche is either moving off into the future later today or tomorrow or next week or next month or next year. Then there's that much separation being created between your soul and your identity. And in that space is discomfort. It's unnatural. And so we start to feel completely disconnected. And so we get warnings to stop. When we get really caught in the past, then we'll start getting dissociated. There's a separation between ourself and where we are. And so we feel completely disconnected. Even the language that we use warns us of what's happening. So like I said, wait equals wait, because we've got that baggage, we've got to put it down and get back to ourselves. It can happen immediately. You can drop it all right now and have what we call spontaneous healing. It is absolutely possible. There are tons of documented experiences of this happening. I've had my own experience of it myself just last summer, where I finally let go of this belief and this connection to people in my past ridiculing me. And when I stopped allowing them to slow me down, and I immediately said enough is enough, and I started writing my book and creating my coaching programs and moving in the right direction, all of a sudden my pelvis just immediately stopped hurting. And we're not talking like a little bit of ache. I had nerve blocks put in my pelvis every 10 weeks. So it was pretty serious. And all of a sudden, there was no need anymore. All of a sudden, every so often I'll get a little tweak and I'm like, oh, what's that? Where am I stunting my creative genius? Where am I playing small? Where am I getting scared? And so as soon as it begins and I start getting in there and start asking some questions, everything will start to smooth itself out again. We are incredible beings. We have the wisdom of the universe in every single cell. You started off as one cell and you duplicated until you became a placenta and a fetus. You kept on duplicating until you became a child. And then even after you were born, you continued to duplicate and grow, even in this toxic world. That's pretty freaking impressive. No one had to think, need to grow your arm today. Nobody thought about, how the bowels work. They just do, because the wisdom of the universe is in every single cell of us. All of this baggage, it just slows things down because it's dense, and we're not meant to be dense. We're meant to be high frequency light, high frequency information, beautiful and pure. And we still are. We just need to get the density out. So this becomes the big piece for us. So for example, if I give my life force to the belief systems of Western medicine, then it's going to take me a very specific amount of time to heal from whatever it is that's going on with me based on what they say the timeline is. And if I have entangled with that system, then I'm going to believe it takes me that long. If I give my life force to the religious belief that I am inherently bad because of the sin of woman, of Eve, then I will be unable to stand in my own divine feminine power because I would believe I'm unworthy. If I give my life force to the belief that I am less worthy because I am born out of wedlock, just like my mom, just like my grandmother, I will never be able to do what I was born to do. So how do we co-create faster? We let go of the past. We just start releasing one thing at a time. We just start letting it go. We recognize that holding on to all of this stuff, it doesn't serve us. It doesn't support us, and it definitely harms us. We forgive. Forgiveness isn't saying that people aren't responsible for their own behaviors. It's saying that we're no longer going to carry it. It's pretty much saying, you do you, boo. I'm moving on. You are not behind. You're not too slow. You're not broken. You're becoming lighter. You are releasing what's not yours. You are opening space for your soul to lead. And maybe that's the point. Not to go faster, but to carry less. So that when destiny shows up, you've got the hands to receive it. So repeat after me. I am not stuck. I am making space. I'm not behind. I'm unburdening. I'm not failing. I'm releasing what's false. Let that be the energy that you move with today. You are not broken. You are not too much. You're remembering who you've always been. And this journey is just getting started. If today's episode lit something in you, hit follow so you don't miss what's coming. And if you're feeling it, leave a review. It helps with more soul-led women find this space. Want to go deeper? Come find me on YouTube, Facebook, our private Facebook community, The Awakening Circle, Instagram, TikTok, or at our website, practicalspiritualismco.com, for all the ways we can rise together. Not to worry, all those links are in our show notes. Until next time, stay sovereign, stay bold, and keep that fire lit.